The boy sat alone at the very edge of the wedding aisle, his small hands fidgeting nervously with the ribbon tied to the chair beside him. Music filled the air, laughter and chatter blended with the warmth of the afternoon sun, yet none of it seemed to touch him. He looked out at the colorful dresses, the smiling faces, the joyous atmosphere of people celebrating love, and felt only the heavy echo of absence. His father, the CEO of a large company, was seated in the front row, shaking hands, smiling politely, and offering nods of acknowledgement to every important guest. But he never once turned back to notice the little boy sitting in the shadows, waiting for even the smallest glance of affection. The boy's name was Ethan. He was only 8 years old, but the weight in his eyes seemed far older. Life had given him wealth, comfort, and all the material things children could dream of, but what it hadn't given him was love. The warm, everyday love of being held, of being listened to, of being told, "I'm proud of you." He lived in a mansion where every room was spotless, every corner filled with fine furniture, and yet the silence was unbearable. His father's success came at a cost: time, affection, and presence. And Ethan bore the burden of that cost in the quiet corners of his lonely childhood. Before we go deeper into Ethan's story, let me ask you something. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of finding family when you least expect it, then please like this video, comment below with your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel FutureLens so we can continue bringing you more stories that touch the heart. Back at the wedding, Ethan's gaze followed the couples, the families, the children laughing as they played on the lawn. His heart longed for something he couldn't quite put into words. He wanted to belong. He wanted to run, to laugh, to be scooped into someone's arms, and to be told he mattered. But instead, he remained seated, shoulders hunched, a small figure swallowed by the grandeur around him. As the ceremony began, the guests stood, all eyes on the bride and groom walking beneath the arch of flowers. Ethan watched them, wondering what it must feel like to be loved so deeply that an entire crowd would gather just to witness it. His father clapped at the vows, smiled when appropriate, but Ethan noticed how quickly he checked his phone in between moments. It was as if he was only half there. And to Ethan, that had always been the story of his life. His father present in body, but absent in heart. But fate has a strange way of writing new chapters when you least expect it. As Ethan sat quietly, swinging his legs beneath the chair, he noticed a little girl not far away. She was about his age, dressed in a white dress with a floral crown resting delicately on her curly hair. She wasn't sitting stiffly like the others. Instead, she laughed freely, her joy unfiltered, her eyes bright with innocence. At her side was a man, tall, kind-looking, wearing a suit that wasn't nearly as expensive as the CEO's, but carrying himself with something far more valuable: warmth. He bent down, often to whisper something to the girl, adjusting her dress, patting her head gently, holding her hand with a love so effortless that it made Ethan's chest ache. The man was a single father, and the girl was his daughter. They didn't come from wealth. They didn't have the polish of high society. But what they had was the one thing Ethan craved the most: connection. As the ceremony ended and the guests moved toward the reception area, the boy found himself sitting at table once again, this time with even more people surrounding him, their laughter rising and falling like waves. Plates of food clattered, glasses clinked, and conversations filled the air. Yet Ethan sat in silence, staring at his untouched plate. His father was across the table, deep in conversation with other businessmen, not noticing that his son hadn't spoken a single word. And then it happened. The little girl spotted Ethan sitting alone. She tilted her head curiously, tugged at her father's hand, and whispered something to him. With a smile, the man nodded, and together they walked over. Ethan lifted his eyes in surprise as the girl pulled out the chair beside him and sat down, her smile radiant and welcoming. "You look lonely," she said softly, her tone carrying no judgment, only kindness. Ethan blinked, unsure how to respond, and used to anyone noticing him. The man gave a gentle nod and placed a hand on his daughter's shoulder, his eyes meeting Ethan's with a warmth Ethan had never felt from his own father. For the first time in a long time, Ethan felt seen. From that moment, something shifted. The girl introduced herself, and before long, the two of them were laughing, sharing stories, and sneaking bites of dessert while the adults carried on with their conversations. Her father joined in gently, asking Ethan questions not about grades or achievements, but about what he liked, what made him happy, what he dreamed about. And when Ethan answered, the man listened, really listened, as though every word mattered. It was such a small act, yet to Ethan, it was everything. For years he had lived in the shadow of wealth and status, where affection was replaced with scheduled activities and toys were meant to fill the void of love. But here, at this wedding, with a little girl's kindness and a single dad's compassion, he felt something stir deep inside his heart. Belonging. The reception carried on, music swelling as people danced and laughed under the fading sunlight. Ethan found himself dancing too, awkward at first, but then freer as the girl held his hands and twirled around. Her father clapped along, smiling with genuine joy, as if Ethan had been part of their world forever. And when Ethan tripped slightly, instead of scolding him or brushing it off, the man reached out, steadying him with care, the way fathers do when they love. For a boy who had always eaten meals in silence, that evening became unforgettable. He laughed until his cheeks hurt. He shared food with someone who actually wanted to sit beside him. He heard words of encouragement spoken softly, not because of what he had done, but because of who he was. But the night also brought a moment of painful clarity. Ethan saw his father watching from across the room, his expression unreadable. The CEO was a man used to control, to power, to keeping emotions behind a wall of pride. And yet, for the first time, he looked unsettled. Perhaps he realized that another man, a stranger with far fewer riches, was giving his son what he had failed to provide: love. Ethan's heart battled between longing and fear. Would this moment vanish as quickly as it had come? Would he wake up tomorrow and find himself once again lost in the silence of his home? Or had something truly changed tonight? As the evening drew to a close, the single dad placed a gentle hand on Ethan's shoulder and said, "You're welcome with us anytime." It wasn't a grand gesture, nor a dramatic declaration, but to Ethan, it felt like a doorway opening. For the first time, he felt like family wasn't just something you were born into, it was something that could find you when you least expected it. The car ride home was quiet, but different. His father didn't speak, and Ethan didn't ask. Yet inside Ethan's heart, a seed had been planted. The memory of the girl's laughter, the warmth of her father's kindness, and the feeling of finally belonging would never leave him. And though life would still bring challenges, Ethan knew this night had changed him. It showed him what love looked like, what family felt like, and that even the loneliest hearts can be found in the most unexpected places. If this story touched your heart today, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to FutureLens so we can continue to bring you more stories that remind us of the beauty of human connection. Before we end, I have a special request for you. Comment below and tell us, what does family mean to you? Because at the end of the day, family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about the people who choose you, who see you, and who love you when you need it most. And that night, at a wedding filled with flowers, laughter, and music, a lonely boy found the family he had always dreamed of.